Hi, this is Miss Nikki at Patty's All-American. Many of you might not know, I have a son, just one child. His name is Wyatt, and he started his first year at kindergarten this year. And as a parent and as a teacher, I was shocked at what he was expected to know. In particular, after Christmas break, he started getting tested not just on the reading and writing of his sight words, but getting tested on creating sentences with his sight words in it, using correct spacing, correct capitalization, correct punctuation. And it got me to thinking, what are other parents' experience like? So I've invited here with me today two of my friends, Miss Laura and Miss Stephanie. They both have children who either are in kindergarten or went through kindergarten. So let's just start right there, ladies. What was the one thing that shocked you the most when you think about your first child's first year in kindergarten?
Well, so my oldest son now is in first grade, but when he started kindergarten, I was just honestly shocked at how disconnected I felt from the new school, because it was brand new to him and to me, and literally everything was something I didn't expect or just didn't know about. And so I felt like they would give us packets of resources to tell us, this is what to expect for drop off, pick up, if you're a car rider, if you're a bus rider. And I'd read through that, and yet still the first time would come and I'd feel really overwhelmed and confused as to what was going on. And I know he did too, but I wanted him to feel confident going to school and being able to be independent and do all these things. And it was tough because it was a big environment and there were so many things. How does school lunch work if you're paying? And he'd say to me, how do I wait in the line? Where do I go? Do I go to the right? Do I go to the left? Where do I stand? And I had no idea. And this wasn't a school I went to. I grew up in the Lake Central School District. We are in the Munster School District, so I had absolutely no idea. I didn't know what to tell him, and it made me really anxious because I like to prepare my kids for what is to come, and I didn't know how in a lot of ways. And what I kind of found with that was that it wasn't being, fed to me on a silver platter. I had to find out. I had to read those things. I had to talk to parents whose kids already went. And we were lucky to connect at the bus stop in our neighborhood, and I'd ask them what the heck was going on, and they filled me in, which was helpful. And then I'd reach out to the teachers and the office staff as infrequently as I possibly could, because I wanted to know what to expect and what to tell him. So that helped, but it was really shocking at first how disconnected I really felt.
Absolutely. Laura, what was Nicholas's experience like as far as what shocked you being his mom?
So one of the things, a little bit to add on to that, because I felt the exact same way. Growing up, I went to like a small private school, and then to the Munster School District is where I was, and now we're in the Lake Central School District. So again, and it was a new move for us, so I don't have the same parental friend group that went through these schools that I did in Munster. So that was a change for me. But one thing I didn't expect was that they weren't going to prepare the kindergartners to go in. We didn't have a meet your teacher night. We didn't have a come explore your classroom night. The only thing we got was a playground meetup the week before, I feel like, or a couple days before, or something like that. So I felt like that was a disservice to the children. We didn't find out who their teacher was until 2 days before. And again, I felt the same way, wanting to prepare him. And my child is a very type A, want to be prepared, but also very nervous type child. So that was a little difficult. We were lucky the teachers did come to the kindergarten play date on the playground, so we got to see her face. But coming from a small school like Patty's, where there wasn't as much to be nervous about, and going into a big environment was difficult for him without knowing where to go. But I can say they did have a nice setup for the kids. They had to wear a bracelet for a colored bracelet for each classroom, and then they kind of all directed those kindergarten kids to the right area. So I think that was okay. But the next thing I thought that was really impressive a little bit and a little scary is that what they were expected to know just academically. I feel very lucky that Nicholas came through Patty's because he was very prepared. He knew his letters, he knew his numbers, he knew sight words, and had the idea of just that background, like study ability that he kind of learned here, like practicing sight words at home and practicing his sounds and stuff, because when they got to school, that was something like from day one, it was like, okay, let's play a game, introduce each other, and then day two, it's like, get right into it. And there were a lot of kids that it wasn't review for, and that they had to start from scratch and I feel like kind of catch up on. So I think that's pretty impressive how they're expecting like 5 and 6 years olds to just come into kindergarten and like basically be ready to go. It's a big transition from a few days a week, a few hours a day at kindergarten, in preschool, to a kindergarten full day, like academic overload constantly. And just how tired he was when he came home from school from that just like mental like exhaustion, I guess. So that was huge.
And that's actually my next question is, as moms looking at your child's experience in kindergarten, what do you think was most challenging for your child? Us moms have our own angst and concerns and worries, but for when we think about our child specifically, what do you think was most challenging for your child? Like I could tell you Wyatt, he struggles with her, hopefully, God willing, getting better with when to talk, when not to talk, and what level voice. But I'm just curious, what kind of challenge do you feel your child went through that first year in kindergarten?
We had a couple different things. One being that Evan was not used to being away from home for so long. So it went on for a couple of weeks where he'd be at the bus stop counting on his fingers and go, I'm not going to be home for 7 more hours. And like, yeah, sweetie, it's gonna go fast. You're gonna love it. And honestly, he did. But I think they kept them busy enough that he wasn't, focusing on that at school. But then it was getting into a new routine when he came home, and now we only have a short chunk of time before it's bedtime. So we're trying to do homework, which was coming home and do, all our normal evening activities and all his out of school activity. And it was, just getting into a brand new routine to keep him kind of focused on it. But also at school, I was surprised, like you were saying initially, what shocked you. I feel like he was feeling challenged academically for the first time, because all my kiddos are different in their skills and abilities, but Evan was very brainy and he wanted to learn his letters before he even went to school, preschool, and he was on top of things and just interested in learning. And he was very challenged by how much they were doing these state testings and different things on the tablets and on their little Chromebooks
and even writing.
And
That's a challenge, period.
Yes, and they are, to your point too, expected to a great degree to know a lot of that coming in. Or even if they don't outwardly say they're expected, I feel like their jumping off point is one that assumes the kids are knowing these things
and
already.
piling on the rigor, like almost assume they have the endurance to
Yes.
write.
Yes.
Exactly, yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And truly, we're in a kind of unique situation where Evan was not lucky enough to attend preschool here. We did go somewhere else, and because of my experience there with Evan and Owen at first, my second kiddo who's in pre-K here, I needed to find a new place, and they were doing ninja class here at Patty's, and when I'm looking at the banners, I thought, oh, Patty's has a preschool, and everyone here is so sweet, and they'll be loving to my child, and we enrolled Owen. Evan was already in kindergarten at this point of time, but truly, 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 I do not think my kiddo would have been prepared for kindergarten if we did not bring him here. And the worries I had with Evan were more socially, how's he going to get along with kids? This is his first time in a big school, and how's he going to do once he's challenged academically, and maybe not the top of the class, what happens when he's in the mix? But what I was really fearing and worrying about with my second kiddo, Owen, was that he was just going to go in there not knowing anything, and he was going to get overwhelmed, and then his start of school was going to start off poorly, and I feel like that just sets you on a trajectory for the rest of your schooling. And I cannot, I'm so thankful that we switched here to Patty's, because truly Owen, now he knows his letter sounds, he's writing words, we've been doing flashcards for sight words, I never expected it, truly. And I'm just like, oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness, because seeing what Evan did at the beginning.
Not even a question.
Right? And
Not even a question.
seeing Evan and knowing Evan could have handled it, Owen would not have been able to jump in behind the game and catch up. And now he's not behind the game, and I am so thankful. Seriously.
I mean, not, like I said, not even a question. Like, we tell everybody, I scream Patty's from the rooftop, because I was like, you're just the well-rounded little people that come out of here is like insane. I'm like, the idea that you guys not only make academic learning fun, you bring in learning about like life and just other things. I love how you bring in the breathing techniques with the meditations. And I know this wasn't your question, but I think all that stuff really helps, because when Nicholas, for instance, my older one, Nicholas, going into kindergarten, I was worried about the same thing, about him being away from me. I was a stay-at-home mom most of his younger life, and he was with me so much, and he struggled big time leaving me, and then missing out on time where his brother was here. He missed Patty's. He was concerned, like, I had so many friends at Patty's, I don't know anybody at his school now, and that was hard for him, and we had to come up with ways to like remember each other throughout the day. And just the, like, again, back to what I said, like that whole mental like anguish and exhaustion of being forced to like boom, 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 boom. Even though that kind of is how he functions naturally, it was still a giant adjustment from like 2.5 hours a day to like 7-8 hours of just like go, go, go. And I think a lot of the stuff he learned here really helped him, because he was so prepared that he was able to basically review through the first 4 or 5 months of school, and it was a breeze for him, because he wasn't worried about trying to catch up or learn for the first time, but he was able to focus more on getting used to making new friends and being in a totally different, larger environment, and missing his family. And so I feel like that was giant. And we always like do the breathing techniques, or we dance to like let loose and have fun. And there's a lot of the things he gained confidence about himself coming here, which really translated to going to kindergarten. So I think that's probably the biggest thing, is just that whole transition, and just like what different school is like once you enter kindergarten.
Well, moms, hearing your story as a mom and as one of the Gym and Learn teachers here, it melts my heart in a happy way, to hear how fruitful and blessed you feel about sending your children here at Patty's All-American for their preschool education. I can say beyond a doubt that every single Gym and Learn teacher here truly loves your kid, and also take very seriously the responsibility to prepare them for kindergarten. I am so happy for you, especially after hearing your stories, that you have taken advantage of either our early childhood program for 3 and 4-year-olds, or our pre-K program for 4 and 5-year-olds, or even our summer school program, because we do have the summer school program for our preschool kids, as well as for kids going into kindergarten or finishing kindergarten. As a refresher, we call it kindergarten boot camp. I thank you so much for your time, and thank you for letting me teach your children.
Thank you for just being amazing here. Honestly, we've been here for so many years, and my youngest is going to be graduating soon, and I've already been like, no, we're not going to be here anymore. I've been here for years, so it's going to be hard to move on and start a whole new chapter. So I appreciate you guys immensely.
We are here for you just as much as we're here for your children.
I know, and that's what's great.
Thank you. And honestly, truly too, it does feel like it's been awesome to be able to get to know you guys, and we know that you're looking out for our kids, so I always feel safe leaving my kids here, and I know
Absolutely.
that they'll be taken care of in every aspect academically physical activity and learning healthy habits and emotionally and socially and everything. And I feel like the communication between us and you guys as teachers is awesome, and we can't thank you guys enough, truly.
Thank you.